Hi guys, Nefri here. Today we're going to be talking about the classes of Go Go Muffin and to give you a little guidance on what to pick. There's definitely some common tropes to these classes, but I feel like Go Go Muffin gives the player some flexibility to a couple of them. I would also like to disclose that I'm no expert at this game yet, but I have some insights to these classes that I would like to share since I'm playing all these classes and pay attention to other players as I play. So without further ado, let's get into the video. First we have on the list is the Sword Bearer. This character is commonly used as a tank for the game and is so far the only one capable of filling this role. Obviously, as a tank, you are responsible for pulling aggro of monsters and bosses when working with teammates to clear certain rifts and trials. For the most part, you can AFK in most things, but in later stages, it will be important when to pull aggro or put up your shield to block a big hit. Now, as I mentioned in the intro before, Sword Bearer is one of the two classes that can have the flexibility into being a DPS, so it is possible to play as a damage dealer if you wanted to. You also don't have to worry about managing your abilities as the game easily allows you to properly set your abilities to the different stages so that everything can be streamlined when you play. Matchmaking in Rifts as a tank also provides you with a matching reward chest. As you can see, matching reward chest is only provided for tank or healer. Matching rewards gives the player more of a chance to get crystals that are used to enhance equipment or gain other useful rewards. Another thing to mention based on what I noticed is that when you queue for certain rifts or other matchmaking parties, tanks usually get a lobby pretty quickly. This tells me that not a lot of people play the tank, so in other words, playing this class grants you more gameplay and being able to finish your dailies more quickly. Next up we have is the Wayfarer. This class is one of the 3 DPS characters of the game that is ranged and has a focus on auto attack damage. This means that this class has the best consistent damage over time. The Archer class excels both in AoE and single target damage, and generally you can rest easy knowing the enemies won't stand a chance of surviving. So far what I could see, this is a class that is pretty solid throughout the game. They are not the worst in DPS, but they aren't the best. The next in line we have is the Scholar. Renowned as the Mage class, they specialize in devastating AoE damage, excelling at obliterating groups of enemies with ease. However, they do require a bit of time to cast their spells. Right now, in the early stages, Scholar is probably the best DPS in the game. There has been some talks in the community that Scholar drops in DPS in class change 2 to 4, based on the Chinese servers. Obviously, things can change as the developers does balance changes to improve the quality of the characters. Following that, we have the Shadow Lash, the assassin role and 3rd DPS role in the game. This character is best known to specialize in burst damage for single target enemies, so essentially this role needs to strike at the perfect time to do tons of damage. From what I have seen and heard, pretty much Shadow Lash is outright the best in DPS in terms of late game, although currently at the time of making this video, we are only at class change 2. Most say class change 6 is where the big damage comes in for them, however like I said before, balances will be made and things can shift. Now, the role of DPS characters is pretty simple and straightforward for the most part. They just simply need to do a lot of damage to help clear the trials. So typically, they are able to get away with being AFK most of the time. However, there are mechanisms in place for our DPS players to help make the trials easier. They are given interruption and dispel abilities to help clear the stage. So at later stages, usually it is best for the player to not AFK and pay attention when to interrupt or dispel. Otherwise, it could spell disaster for the party. Now, I cannot say definitively which DPS class has the best damage outright, but they all have their own strengths and weaknesses. Though what I can say is that if you are playing the DPS role, you can't really go wrong with any of these classes. It is basically up to preference if being the highest damaging is not that important to you. Last but not least is the Acolyte, or better known as the healer. Currently, this is the only healer in the game, and typically this class is not really an AFK friendly role. As you progress through the later stages of the game, you will have to adjust the healing abilities needed for each trial, and correctly time them to keep you and your team alive. As I mentioned before, Acolyte can also play the DPS role. Surprisingly enough, this class can do a ton of damage at later class changes. This class can also obtain matching reward chests as mentioned before. The healer class is also able to match up quickly with other party members as well. Although I do notice that it takes slightly bit longer than the tank. This class is overall one of the best classes you can choose right now since they excel in both the healing and DPS roles. It offers better flexibility in what you want to do, and you'll definitely have fun playing this class. Now these are all the classes that Go Go Muffin has to offer. As you can see, they all have their own unique playstyles, advantages, and disadvantages. I hope I was able to give you good high-level enough information so that you can choose the correct class for yourself. I honestly believe that all the classes are fun to play based on my current experience. However, everyone is different, and I hope this video helped you gain clarity on what to pick. So thanks for watching the video, and tune in for the next one. Alright, thanks. Bye.